What's up? It's Monday.
It's Monday again.
Tad's over there dying.
Yep.
Hey, we're powering speed. 908-751-0211.
And as usual, good old Facebook, iTunes, like us, share us.
Do something.
Invite other people to get into our fun here.
Yeah, as long as we have a show people can listen to.
Well,
Just so everybody's clear on what happened, apparently that intro music we use, which is completely royalty-free, because Tom and I,
bought that, yeah.
we toiled over that.
Hell yeah, we did.
I bet it took...
Yep.
It took a long time.
It had to take a month.
Yeah.
Fucking around to figure out what we wanted.
Listening to shit, clips. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, apparently like a flagging algorithm, and it almost took the entire archive of shows down, said that we were stealing that.
Yeah.
So I believe that's all corrected. If everything goes as scheduled tonight, everything should be back up and fine.
Trying to say we almost pulled a Chief and Sean show thing and just disappeared because of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Did they just quit, or did they get knocked off for some reason?
I think I heard that they had to sell their stuff so they could afford the lawyer to get out of trouble or something.
Lawyer to get out of trouble for what?
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. I'm just
That's a
getting this stuff off.
fantastically insightful story.
Hey, I read it off the Facebook, and if it's on Facebook, it's got to be law.
Yeah, but
So.
I mean, they needed a lawyer. The next logical question in anybody's brain,
What'd they do?
what did they do? Because
They
you
talked
don't
too
need a
much.
lawyer because...
Talk too much about the show, which they shouldn't have, or some BS like that.
Okay, that's what I was getting to. So you think it was show related,
Yes.
that they spoke out of school, so to speak.
Well, spoke of the show or something that they weren't
They might
allowed
have said
to,
something
BS.
they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Talked about a show before it was a show, or
Something was going to happen.
something's going to happen. Something did happen.
They leaked.
I don't really watch it too often.
I've been watching it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, now that I know a few of the guys and know who they all are, and realize that it is real racing. I mean, those guys, they are legit. They really are.
I'm not saying they're not. And the cars are definitely legit.
Badass. But I will tell you, so the OKC version of the show actually is pretty good. It's gotten way, way, way better. Not that I'm some kind of critic, but it's good. I like watching it.
OKC?
OKC.
As in Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
Well,
There's two others now.
Street Outlaws?
Yeah. There's
Yeah, there's
New
another
Orleans,
one.
Here comes that shark in a tank.
and Memphis. Dude, the Memphis show is unwatchable.
I would imagine.
Dude, they got some guy on there. I don't want to say his name because he doesn't deserve the props. It's unwatchable. It really. That's all I'm going to say. You got to watch it. You just got to watch it once, and you'll watch it for 10 minutes. You'll decide whether you want
Is
to
that sort of
throw
like
up or kill yourself.
Sort of like that Grudge show.
I didn't see that.
You didn't watch it? I watched it.
I don't think I ever saw it.
Yeah.
I was actually able to find it on our Sony View. And, I watched a couple of them and I was like, whatever. And it just dropped off. There was only a couple shows.
Which one was that?
The one with Mike Murillo? Or that never even happened?
I don't think that ever happened.
I never saw it.
It was on like the Fishing Network or something. It was weird. The Outdoor Network.
That's the way to go.
It saved on my thing.
Get it on the Fishing Network.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
I'll find out what it was and I'll send it to you so you can watch it. But
Wow.
All right. Well, I guess I'll check it out if I'm extremely bored. What time is it on?
I don't know. That means he won't.
Well, it seems like it's on, like you can always...
What, Street Outlaws?
Yeah.
Like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I actually don't know.
It's right in Fox News primetime viewing area.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, you can tape one, man.
we don't have to tape it. We got the freaking, watch whenever on Sony.
I got to stop saying that. That just shows how old we are. Let's tape it. Hey, can you tape this?
Get your VCR going?
Yeah, I'm going to call my wife, tell her to tape it.
Yeah, that is pretty bad.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
You sound like an idiot.
you do sound...
Yeah.
Not trying to pick
So
on
are you VCR or beta?
You say it too.
Tape?
No?
No.
Tad said it.
I'm a digital guy, man.
Record it.
Fuck off.
DVR, man.
So
You just said tape, you hump.
I said you tape. Never mind.
the one thing that I want to talk about real quick, and this is much to the chagrin of some people, I got to say that the thing that happened, which I believe is right near Howard, with the kids.
Oh, the shooting, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope none of our listeners were affected by that directly. I really
Same.
do. Because that's,
It's terrible.
that was really awful. Really awful.
As info comes out, it just gets sadder and sadder. The state of affairs in this country that, people learn things and do nothing with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
people see things and do nothing. You know, this whole cop thing is really, really bad. The guy that didn't go in.
Has that been like completely confirmed and verified?
Yeah, it's legit. Yep. They're actually talking about there might have been more than one guy. Might have been.
Then why was he there? Well, I mean, was he just collecting a paycheck?
Well, there's a whole bunch of tinfoil hat stuff, like I sent you that one thing, and I'm not sure I buy that, but I do know that this one guy, I forget his name, don't care anyway. He's going to retire in, you know, he's an older guy, probably has another year or something like that. And maybe he could go anytime, and maybe he just considered his options and didn't go in. And I mean, he's getting killed on that's.
Oh, I would imagine.
You know, on the internet, there's memes about him not going in. He resigned.
Mm-hmm.
So he essentially retired. He's going to get his full pension. And they're saying, you know, he stood outside until the guy either ran out of bullets or children. I mean, that's nice. Tough. Yeah.
God.
But he did. I mean, there's no way around it. We shouldn't even, I'm not judging any part of it, but that's your job, man. That's your job. Kids are getting shot and you stand outside. I don't care how scared you are. That, you know, most cops wouldn't do that. They run into it.
From my, I know every tough guy in the world would say, "Oh, I would have ran in." I know Trump said I would have gone in. I don't know if confronted with that situation, your head's got to be really right to do something like that.
Your survival mechanism kicks in, and you have to, be one of those special guys. Yeah. And we have a lot of them. There's don't think by any stretch that there's not a lot of them in our, in blue uniforms in this country.
I'm sure. And, people were talking about arming teachers and civilians. And the thing that bothers me about all this stuff is the way that things get twisted, that suddenly it became that Miss McGillicuddy, the old ass, frail teacher is going to be forced to wear like a garter belt, holster.
Yeah.
It's not what anybody ever said.
Nope.
But this is kind of, and I said it to you before, if you have a car that loses oil, whether it leaks it, burns it, whatever, and you ain't got the time to fix it or identify the right problem.
But
it's leaking.
Yep.
You put oil in it.
Yep. And figure it out.
And you figure it out as you go.
Some people put oil in it for way too long.
Yes. the procrastinating type. But it seems to me that the immediate way to address this problem is to meet it head on. I mean that's it. And maybe I'm stupid. Alan tells me all the time, you're a dumb conservative. Whatever. I just know that if it was somebody that I wanted protected, I would want somebody to be front and center to address the threat.
Yep.
We obviously have a problem in this country with people doing dumb shit with guns. I don't know how to fix it.
Well, I know a national firearms ban isn't going to fix it.
No.
Well, remember, it's like drugs are illegal. They're not out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it worked with drugs. Well, me and Mike were talking when I was on my way in, and one funny meme, it's really not funny. A guy says, hey, instead of a federal firearm ban, why don't we just do something? Why don't we do a ban in Chicago as a test and see how that works?
Yeah.
And it's funny, but, really.
Well, the problem is criminals are going to be criminals. Right. And I think it was Mogul, of all things, that sent me something like, well, we don't blame the spoon for fat people. No, we don't, like all this stuff that we don't blame, all the things you could make of it.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, a ban is not going to fix it. If you take away ARs, it will be something else. And then where does it stop? I mean, if they really want us disarmed, at least be honest about it.
Well, you were wrong about Nitro Scott.
Okay.
He just said, who doesn't do stupid shit with guns?
Who?
People that don't have them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Scott. Listen, I don't know what happened to you. I don't know if it was, some kind of strange traumatic event. I don't know. My guns are in my safe. My guns come out and I target shoot. Yes.
They come out on their own?
Yeah, all by themselves. I caught
They're
one
well
the other
trained.
night sneaking out.
Bastard.
I was going to say, no, I got to be careful.
Yeah,
don't come looking for me next.
Yeah.
My guns have never hurt anybody.
Nope.
My guns have never fired without my request.
I would go as far to say as your guns have never hurt anything.
No. Because, I mean, honestly, I am the guy that has guns that couldn't kill even a squirrel, which I really dislike. Unless he invaded my space, then me and him, then it's on. But like just a squirrel hopping on a branch out there, I know you don't like squirrels. You got a real problem with them.
True.
I couldn't kill anything.
How about one of those turkeys that are really obnoxious?
No.
No?
I mean, look, when the goats were bothering me, I got a stupid airsoft gun.
Goats were bothering him?
Yeah, those fucking idiots that were looking in my window and shit, those two weirdos, they were from next door. He got rid of them. But
Okay.
I couldn't.
Goats are code.
Yeah, that's funny. I couldn't hurt an animal, let alone a person. So for somebody like Scott to say, well, you know, guns never, you don't have them, you can't. Shut the fuck up. I mean, that's just stupid.
Successful, Scott.
That's just stupid. I'm not.
He was trolling you.
Was he trolling me?
Yeah.
You fucking douche, Scott. Get me all pissed. Now, why you got to get me on fucking all wound up?
Either that or that was his retort to save himself.
Maybe.
Let's go with that.
Look, we've got a problem. We do. But, you know, you brought up something about this whole thing. And look, we're not going to make this all about guns. JC's going to call, but it's just, it's something worth talking about. You know, don't all you guys, you know, that the liberals want to have the conversation? Well, here we are.
Yeah.
We're conversing. You said that kid should not have been able to buy a gun.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's not mature enough to have a gun.
Agree completely. But I mean, what specifically did he do that was enough pause to say take away his right?
Well, isn't he?
In my world?
Yeah.
I think it's the culture that doesn't mature kids enough these days.
Yeah, but wasn't he writing on Facebook, I'm going to shoot up the school or something like that?
I think there was one post on YouTube that, quite frankly,
On YouTube, geez.
Well, are we talking about that kid in particular or the age thing?
well, I think it's probably both. But I mean,
there was a ton on him that should have thrown up a flag.
but this is what I'm saying. This is where the problem really resides. This kid, clearly, I'm not defending him. He's a fucking problem. And the FBI dropped the ball. The police dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody watched this kid. But I'm asking a legitimate question. What would the mechanism here be to disarm this kid? He didn't commit a crime.
Right.
The threat that he made on YouTube could have even been passed off as...
Nope.
You don't think so?
No.
What'd he say? When I grow up, I want to be a
Professional school shooter.
Right.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
All right. So if...
It just so happens that he went through with it.
Right. So
listen, if you're dumb enough to say something like that, seriously,
And post it in prison.
really, if you live in this world and you're astute enough to understand how social media works today, and he's not a kid, he's 19, so he's a young adult.
yeah. And again, I'm not defending this
I know
kid.
you're not. I know.
What we need to do is we need to come up with a mechanism.
Fuck you, Scott. I'm still on your side.
We need to come up with a mechanism that if somebody gives this warning sign, that we can correct the issue.
The problem here is the government. The government never does anything right, and I hear your trepidation with this because the government needs to come up with that line in the sand.
Yeah.
And holy shit, that could be bad.
It could be really bad because look, I fuck with Alan constantly because he's
An idiot.
Like, sorry, Alan, I agree with almost nothing you say. And when JC comes on, we'll talk about 727. So you might want to tune in for that one. But I don't think that I would ever want to be in the position where Alan got mad at me because I called him an idiot, or I teased him on this, or I told everybody his new email address was fud@isitwhenip.com. I don't.
That's for real, by the way.
Could have been. It really could have been.
Know.
I don't want Alan to make a call to somebody and say, you know, Mike's been acting very weird and very threatening. And the next thing they do is they come here, they knock down my door and take everything from me.
Yeah.
And say, we're going to lock you up in an institution and we're going to make sure you're okay.
Yep.
It's
a slippery slope.
This is a really complex issue.
Yep.
It's not, the answer is not taking all guns away. It's not going to happen. I mean, we got to do something, and maybe it is just culture. I don't know. But this whole thing really sucks.
It's a lot culture.
And it makes me feel like the bad guy.
Dude, there's a line, though. I mean, listen, if you say something in jest to a friend, they would have to analyze your relationship. They would have to analyze a lot of stuff.
Oh God, if they ever looked at my text messages,
I know. They would just
Yeah,
go.
you're right.
You go right to prison.
Just about anybody's. Well, you see every time it goes on the news,
Holy
somebody
fuck.
But
they bring their cell phone. They're like, look at these text messages.
Oh
It's like
God,
you're screwed. You
some
know.
of the things
no,
I said to
actually,
Alan.
that would weigh in your favor because it's been going on for so long. Why would you guys still be friends?
Yeah,
You know, it's a joke more than anything. But when a 19-year-old kid says something like that after we've had school shootings and as on edge as this country's been, I mean, common sense would tell you that that's one thing you should never say. And if you do, you should be ready for the ramifications.
right. Well, we need a mechanism to take that. To take that.
They should just call me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could be the dispatcher.
I
You
would.
could dispatch the threat.
I would.
We need something in place that a report can be acted on, and in the meantime, we need to secure the schools. I saw a thing today. 9/11 happened. We put air marshals on the planes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's been hijacked since.
Yep.
Now, look, you've had a guy, the underwear bomber, shoe bomber, whatever these fucking idiots are. But I mean, nobody's tried to take over the plane with box cutters anymore.
Nope. Because they know they're going to get holes in them.
Was a shoe bomber before that?
I don't know.
I
It was in the
remember.
process.
Yeah.
That all happened pretty quickly.
Mm.
But
Now we all have to take off our damn shoes to get on a plane.
Yeah.
anyway, looks like most of our guys are on our side anyway.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I didn't look. The main thing here is that anybody that thinks that this kind of, situation is acceptable, it shouldn't be acceptable. I mean, we should do everything we could to do this, but we can't react emotionally. We have to really put time into this.
Yep.
We have to think about it. All right, let's see what we got here.
Yeah, I forgot you could just see it on the phone.
Yeah,
I'm an idiot. Oh, there you go.
JC. Hey, JC, what's up?
Not much.
Welcome, man.
Doing. Just the Second Amendment version of the shit.
It's just such a sad thing, man. I couldn't even imagine being a parent. I mean, it goes through this.
Yeah, I've got a 5 and a 7-year-old, and it's I mean, it'll make your stomach turn over. It's crazy, and I you guys touched on it, but so much stuff failed to stop this. We actually had warnings, like 22 of them, and then
some good solid ones, not bullshit ones.
And I mean, and like you said, yeah, maybe you can't take the guy's gun away, but you sure as shit should be looking at him and taking, at least tracking them. It's nuts. I mean, I've got a carry permit in a handful of states and got plenty of guns, got a nice AR and all that stuff. And it's, it makes you sick because, the rhetoric that's coming from one side and I mean, there's also Second Amendment people are just over the top and that's not helpful either, but
No.
it sucks all the way around. There's so many people hurting, and then there's so many people that are clueless, and there's so many people that have an idea, and I don't know, it's kind of like arguing about horsepower sometimes. It's just, you can't get your point across, can't get the facts out there no matter what.
Well,
Yeah.
How many celebrities are clueless and they spout on the TV, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's a really bad situation, and I think that I think there's no easy answer to this. And if the immediate problem is, how do we protect the kids, then to me, there's no other solution other than some kind of enforcement at the school for now.
Absolutely. My daughter went to a school after, I guess it was after Sandy Hook, and she was there, and they have a set of double doors, and there's no locks, and they actually, nobody buzzes you in or does anything, and they actually put a memo out that said they're going to stay a nice, open, and free campus after that. And I'm like, awesome. We'll see you later.
Yeah, good choice.
And yeah, I mean, how we protect everything else. Our money's protected, and to me and every other parent, your kid's worth more than every dime you have. So
Absolutely.
it's stupid. It's absolutely dumb. And it sucks you even have to be talking about it.
Yep.
That's the worst part.
True.
But yeah, but that's today.
Well, let's talk about transmissions or
yeah.
all kinds of shit instead of gun stuff. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of yelling at people. I'm sick of arguing. There's no easy answer. But hopefully transmissions are a lot more simple.
Yeah, especially 727s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
By any chance, did a nitwit email you and tell you he wanted to run a 727?
Yep. I steered that conversation in a different direction right away.
That's great. because I think I've been telling that particular individual for probably, I don't know what, Tom, a year?
Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's definitely not a good combination right there.
Well, let's talk about this from the super fast streetcar perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at with what does ATI think would be the right thing, because it's a streetcar that enables overdrive? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean we're doing a lot of good stuff with the 4L 85E. You know, it's again, it's 20-year-old technology, but I mean, hell, look at what we're drag racing, and we've got the ability, because the whole back end up to the center support and the main shaft are capable of 3,000 horsepower. The overdrive section's still a little fragile, and we're working on it. Reed put out a case, a 4L80 case, so that'll help, get some line pressure to everything. But for right now, if you need first, second, and third to go racing with, 4,000 pounds and 2,000 horsepower, we've got you covered. You can't shift into overdrive at wide open throttle at that kind of weight. You can't do it with a gear vendor.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you. If you could, if you're applying that power to the transmission, will it pass it through the overdrive section if overdrive is not engaged? Like, I mean, is it strong enough to just move?
So the overdrive section has like 3, 4, 6 or 7 little baby clutches, because they're on a big diameter, but they're really skinny. There's some big pistons that can move around, and the overdrive section, the gears and all are pretty strong, but it's not doing anything. Nothing's engaged when you're just going through it. So we've got a Vasco input shaft, and we've got a Vasco main shaft, and then we've got everything else for the 400 that takes the power in the back. Mm-hmm. So you can put the horsepower to it. We're selling 1,500 horsepower versions with 210 low gears, so you can get some gear ratio out of it for your street style tire and go driving from there. Your only other option is the 400 with a gear vendor, and we've kind of been back and forth with gear vendor, but you still can't use the gear vendor and use it as an overdrive at wide open throttle on the racetrack. Mm-hmm. So you're still stuck to 3 gears. The later model stuff, it takes a good amount of power, especially the 8-speed. They hold up well, but they're still pretty fragile. They take a lot of computer tuning, and man, if it just sucks. If you need to change a solenoid, you got to relearn and reflash, and you need HP tuners and everything else.
The things are pretty neat, because in conjunction with the factory computer, being able to say, okay, remove this torque, and now that we're all done doing the shit we got to do, put it back. It's got to make transmission life better.
Our ZL1, well, to tell you got a warranty at 400,000 miles. So, our ZL1 with the 10-speed, you engage a shift, it goes from 20 degrees of timing at wide open throttle to 0. The shift starts to happen, it goes to -20. Mm-hmm. The shift happens, it goes back to 0. It completes the shift, it goes back to 20. So it's a 40-degree timing swing to actually make the shift. So as strong and stout as everything happens, it's just happening real fast, but it's taking all the power away.
Yeah.
At the same time. So we've done a couple 8Ls for Ryan Martin, the Fireball Camaro guys, for some of their packages, and we're learning a lot. I'm working on updated clutches for that, and steels and pressure plates, just to try and see where we can get to. The shafts and everything are really nice. The stuff is stout. It's pretty cool inside, and like one of the neat parts is you can take the output shaft on an 8 and a 10-speed and spin it, and it'll turn like 3/4 of a revolution by itself. It's freer than any Power Glide and any 400 and everything else. It's loaded with bearings, but on the downside, because it'll do that, it's got clutches that are missing 3/4 of the material to let oil out and everything else. So there's a little bit of a happy medium, and we've got the ZL1 to play with the 10-speed and the 10-speed converter, which 10-speed converter is a whole new animal for the converter world. But then we're building a car with an LT4 to put an 8-speed in that we can flop in and out and play with that too.
Now, how would would you, as a transmission vendor, handle that? Would it have to be run with just a factory controller? I mean,
yeah. So there's zero other options. Same with the 6L80 right now. It's PCS makes a controller, but it's not for retail. It's just so you can kind of run the thing. And the transmission needs to see torque to raise a line pressure. So if you put a 6L on our trans dyno that makes 375 horse, it says, all right, I don't see any horsepower, I don't see any load, I don't need more than 85 pounds of line pressure. It just won't go up. So there's nothing standalone aftermarket that is not factory based for any of these transmissions. So you can buy the LT4 or LT1 connect and cruise package with the same transmission, which they're pretty much identical other than a couple clutches, LT1 and LT4. But to be able, like for me to run the thing on the dyno, which I'm working on, you need like a shifter out of the car, you need the whole transmission ECU, and then if you don't have an LT4 on it, you got to start figuring out how to trick it to even get the thing to do anything.
Yeah, I would imagine that gets into a whole, body control module, all the stuff that makes the trans work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there are full manual, no solenoid valve bodies for the 4L80, which is a pretty cool piece. But there, as soon as you get to the 6-speed and the 8-speed, the biggest problem is it pre-fills and pre-exhausts the clutch. So it's like, all right, we're running wide open, we're in first gear. I'm pretty sure he's going to go to second in, 0.6 of a second. Let's start pre-filling.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go and change the pistons and change the volume and take away clutch clearance, the damn thing's pre-filling, but it's actually coming on.
Yeah.
So it's, it's smarter than us. That's for sure.
Yeah, it would take a whole lot of resources to make a standalone controller that could kind of figure this out.
Yeah, and even then, you get, and you got to explain to guys sometimes, you go in the middle of the corner with your Camaro, it's got a 6L80 and you downshift. Well, it rev matches, it downshifts, and it doesn't kill you. You do it with a 400, it just locks back tires up and you spin out.
Yeah.
So there's a shitload of stuff to think about, and the gear ratio stuff's neat, and the 8-speed and 10-speed stuff's neat, and it ultimately it might not rob as much horsepower as everybody thinks it will, because there's really not a lot of stuff going on.
I was shocked to learn that, like, I was talking to somebody and the guy's like, well, what gear do I dyno test my car? And I said, I don't know, 4th, it's 1-to-1. And he's like, not in the 6-speed. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, how could that be?
Yeah, so and it's 6th in the 8-speed and it's 7th in the 10-speed. Yeah, because it's got a 0.65, 0.69, point something, but it's like a 472 or 492 low gear or something that's fairly useless.
So pretty much at this point, if anybody wants to go fast with a street car and still wants the benefit of overdrive, it's got to be a 4L80.
4L80, 400 with a gear vendor, and unless you spend a whole bunch of money on a lockup, then it's going to still be non-lockup. Or if you happen to have an LT1 or LT4 and want to buy all the regular GM controllers, you can put your 8L90 in there and go flog it.
Boy, that would be a lot of work.
Yeah, it would. Hey, I got a question.
We're that's what's going in our 54 Bel Air. It's a connect and cruise package from GM, so it's, when you're done and with it, you got some powers and grounds and ignitions to hook up, and you've got an 8-speed.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's there. So not too many, but a handful of people have done it. We've got the motor and the ECU, and it's all a package. Fingers crossed, and reading the paperwork, it should just fire up and go.
Well, yeah, in a car like that where there never was an ECU and you're wiring and all that stuff. But I see what Mike's.
You're right. Yeah, that's a little different than trying to throw an 8-speed in a late model or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Mike's brain is thinking about right now.
Yeah, rolling around in there.
Yeah.
How can I leverage this?
Yeah.
I've got we started a little a blog. You see how often I use it. It's been a while. 10r90.com, and it's just got some pictures of the transmission and the converter. That's why I would say the converter, anybody that's not familiar, but the lockup clutch is usually against the back cover of the converter, or there's clutches in the back cover, the part that goes to the flex plate.
Right, going to the flex plate.
Right.
Gotcha.
So the 10-speed, the lockup is, it's almost a little bit of a concave angle, and it's on an angle, and it's on the pump. It's hard to even visualize. I've got some pictures of the converter. It's the weirdest looking shit I've ever seen, and it does not look. It's not. We've worked on a couple of them, but to just say, oh, I'm going to do a triple disc 10-speed converter, it's good luck. It's going to take a while.
Right.
See, that's what I was just going to ask him. I didn't want to get off transmissions, but he earlier said that the converter's like nothing you've ever seen.
Oh, the late model stuff goes so hand in hand that you almost have to. It's with the 8-speeds departure, the bushing, instead of being in the pump, is in the converter. So the front bushing is in the snout of the converter. Then the converter turns a drive that rides on bearings. So it's all for fuel economy and bearings. It's really awesome stuff. And then it turns a chain which drives a pump that's down on the valve body, which that's not really new. ZF's been doing it for a while, but it's like you can't just call a shop and buy these parts till Chevy started doing it. So,
wow.
ZF, if you want to try and buy a torque converter and transmission for an X5M or something, you'll have to get one out of a wrecked car. You can't just get one from anybody.
Never knew that.
So, on the lockup side of things, because I have no experience with the 8 or 10-speed stuff, do they actually lock the torque converter under full power? Obviously we're talking about factory power levels. And
yeah, you know what? They lock up early. They lock up early. They stay locked up, and they don't unlock. They might unlock for a second on the shift. I didn't really look at it. I went in HP tuners on ours and told the thing to stay locked up all the time, and I didn't think it was really listening to me, so I made it so the car would stall, and it wouldn't stall. Maybe it just says, hey, you're done. I'm not going to let you stall. But it's I try to keep it locked up all the time, and it still doesn't listen to you. Like, it should stay locked up on downshifts, and it doesn't. So I think there's kind of like you can't turn the traction control all the way off on some cars. Just won't let it be done.
There's got some kind of fail-safe table somewhere about something.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's, there are aftermarket converters. We have one, and other companies too. You can do a single and triple disc heavy-duty cover for the 8-speed, and it's because it's a conventional-looking converter.
Okay. Now, on the 4L80 side of things, because that's more, I guess we'll say, charted territory, what's the method of operation with the torque converter with the 4L80? Do we drive it?
Yeah, I mean, really standard stuff. You can use the aftermarket tuners and tell it to pretty much do whatever you want, and it'll do it. If you want to burn it up, it'll let you. If you don't, it'll be nice and soft. Something as simple as the powertrain control solutions, which we sell, PCS. They're just down in Virginia, and they make some really cool stuff. They have a simple shift. You just basically plug your wires up, and you have to give the thing a TPS signal and power, ground, ignition, and it's got some switches. You want to drive to the movies with your wife and have it shift normal, you flip all the switches to soft. You want to go, Jason Miller, the MIR guy, before they sold, he has a 4L80 package in a Mustang that ran constant 890s at 4,100 pounds, and then he can drive it to the movies on the weekend.
Now, I guess that, and you say this is the gaps. I always talk about having gaps in what you know. These valve bodies are complete. Like when we're into 4L80E, the mechanical aspect of the valve body, as we knew it from before, is pretty much gone, right? Like,
yeah, it's I think the 4L80's got 4 solenoids essentially, and a lockup solenoid, and you pull the cover off the 8-speed, and there's like 10 solenoids, and they're all serial numbered, and you can't just swap them. So the 4L, and you can do it. I don't actually make a valve body for it. There's a company called Jake's out there that does one, and Extreme Automatics does one. And these guys, for us, we can do a hell, Rossler's got a trans brake. I think even TCI does, but it's you can do a trans brake version of it, but it doesn't act like a 400 or a Glide. It's kind of pretty mushy and pretty slow. But there are some that are fast out there, and if you want to get rid of the electronics, but then when you do that, you're back to that deal where it'll spin you out in the corner.
Yeah.
If you want to, but you can pretty much get rid of all the electronics on a 4L and have it function as almost as a 400 with overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a little bigger. We've got a deal. I made a 300M output shaft, so you can put a 400 tail on it, and with a big block Ford bell and our adapter, 1 inch longer than a Chevy 400 regular turbo 400 length, so it doesn't take up a bunch of space. So we can get pretty short.
Yeah, that's
with
amazing.
it, which is kind of nice to fit in some of these cars. It is still fatter through the tunnel area just because it's got the lockup and everything going on.
Yeah, but it's not the length is that's kind of a big deal. Everybody's used to beating on their tunnel.
Yeah,
but
yeah, shit. I've got a Power Glide in our Copa with an upshift lever, and I had to beat on my tunnel.
Yeah, but to compensate for I don't know how much longer they are from the factory, but that's tough.
So, your position, JC, is that they could handle approximately, and again, this is that whole discussion that we had in a previous episode about vehicle weight versus output. But
it's horsepower, it's weight, it's gear ratio, it's tire. And, depending on what all you have, if you can't turn the motor much RPM, and you have a 28-inch tire, so you don't have much gear, then you can just assume your horsepower, for what the transmission thinks, your horsepower is more than it actually is. So it's, the more mechanical advantage being in gear ratio, and the lighter the car is, the easier it is on everything else. So, I know you guys had Howard from Redline, and it's, he'll do like a 4,000-pound car with 1,500 horsepower, but it doesn't have a lot of gear, and it's got a 28-inch tire. Well, it needs a transmission damn close to what a 2,600-pound Pro Mod needs.
Yeah.
To be able to live. So that's, it's kind of all weight relative. And anybody that's got a later model car, the damn things are heavy. It's, 3,600 to 4,000 pounds, and you want to make 1,000 horsepower and have something reliable. It's pretty easy with the 4L.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So what do you guys have? I know there's a ton of new stuff going on. I know you've been spending most of your time moving.
And money.
Yeah, that's right. The move is going good, by the way?
It's going. Yeah, it's happening. We've got 19 more machines to move, and it's you look at the thing on paper. Hell, we printed out 2 sections and laid out this whole building, just a machine shop, on 4x8 paper with all the machines to scale, and we put that shit in there. You're like, well, that sucks. And you're like, it's crazy. It's just nuts. I sure wouldn't want to have to do this for a living. So we've got. Yeah, we're pretty much split up. We've got more people working in the new building than the old building. I'm still in the old building, and transmissions, converters, gear sets, all that kind of stuff is still built in that building, and we still have 19 machines down there. The rest of the machines we can move by ourselves. The big ones, we had somebody come in and move. And it's we're trying to make the best use of the space, and it's hard. It really is. We had a guy, we had like an outside consultant that we called to come help us, and we met with him for an hour. We're just like, all right, well, this just sucks. This guy doesn't know much anything. He's really no help to us. So we're a month away from having all my little construction projects done, like new engineering office, the machine shop lunchroom, and that kind of stuff. Once that's done, I'll be really gung ho to get everything done, because everybody have a seat over there, and it's a little trying right now because we're still running, boring bars and inserts and shit back and forth across the street, and getting a new machine up and running, and internet wires, and we're at over 7 miles of cable and wiring now just to try and get it all done and make it right. And yeah, at the same time, business hasn't stopped, and new products haven't stopped.
Good thing, man.
Yeah, it's So some days I'm like, fuck, I don't really want to do anything else new. And then the next day I'm like, we got to have this. So it's, I think since last time we've talked, we've done some of the new 4L80 parts like billet pistons and input shafts and the main shaft. I've got Turbo 350 aluminum pump half coming. It's here. It's just not all done machined. I haven't ran enough hours on the dyno yet, but we're close on that. It'll have coated gears and wear plates, so save some weight, frees up some horsepower. Then we've been humping on this 8L stuff a little bit. It's hard. It's hard to test. It's hard to flog. So I'm just trying to take my time and get everything right. I've got a Turbo 350 SFI case in the works. It's at the foundry. Sure as shit hope they're working on the tooling by now, because those guys are busy and slow, or slow and busy. I'm not sure, but that's coming along. I'm trying to get that thing out by this summer, and I really pushed my schedule up because NHRA made a rule about 1099 and faster. You got to have a shield or a blanket on any car in stock. It's always kind of been a rule in super stock, but they never really enforced it. So we were going to do the case anyway, but we kind of pushed it up a little bit. And working on some new bells, some new bolt-on bells, valve bodies. We're actually shipping our E-Shift valve body, or E-Quick valve body. So it's got solenoids for the Turbo 400, so you can use an aftermarket controller and put it in low gear and launch your car and let it shift itself. Nothing really going on.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up 350s. Are they still that popular?
Yeah, they are. It's and if you could put more horsepower to them, they'd be more popular.
I mean, when did they stop making them? Because I would imagine that aftermarket cases are going to start to become a necessity, aren't they?
Right.
The 350 never took off like the 400 or the Glide, so they've all just been kind of sitting around. And they made a shitload of them because they went in all the 6-cylinder cars, and so there's a ton of them out there, but you can't really do much. 170 pounds of line pressure ish, 1,000 horsepower with a lighter car, and it's kind of still a fragile piece. There's a guy out west that puts all 904 guts in them, like puts drums and bands in them, and gets rid of all the rotating weights. So that sucks up a lot of cases. Well, for your class guys, your NHRA guys, and the Glide was the only game in town until a few guys started kind of pioneering the big shaft stuff for the 400, like Mark Mickey and all, and that kind of slowed the Glide down. And then we put a case out and Reed put a case out, so the 400 really took back off because you could put some power to it. You could run it as a 3-speed or a 2-speed, or I think you guys are talking about the Street Outlaw stuff, and there's a lot of those guys want first or second gear trans brake so they can leave on a good track or a real race track and then a no prep track. So that's popular. So once a case is out for the 350, you'll be able to put some line pressure to it, which line pressure, as long as the parts are there for it, makes everything that much better. It makes trans brake faster apply, faster release, firmer shifts, better clutch life. Everything goes along with it. So I hope I'm not wrong, because I'm going to have a lot of money in the damn case. But I can see it getting better, and more popular for the guys that are like, man, I don't want to lug a 400. I can't use a Glide. Shit. And a 350 is not strong enough. So
yeah.
There's a decent gap. And there's a ton of class racers out there that use them. There's more. You can talk about Street Outlaws and Pro Mod and all this other shit and Ducks Race and Yellow Bullet. There's more race cars in 2 classes at Indy every year for the past 51 years than all those races. And half of them have 350s.
Well, there you go. Listen, I wasn't questioning or second guessing. I just, as a non-transmission guy, I never would have thought 350 was even in the conversation.
Yeah,
but that's amazing.
It's and we still do plenty of them for street strip guys and things like that. You can do You can do an 850 horsepower turbo 350. It's nice because you don't have to mess around with your glide cross member and your glide drive shaft. So you can do an 850 horse like that for a couple grand. They're pretty affordable, and obviously they'll get more expensive with you put a case on and Vasco this and Vasco that. But at least if you've got the option, it'll be there.
Yeah, I should have known because based on how much regular old style small block Chevy stuff we sell,
it's crazy, right?
It is crazy. You wonder where the hell it all goes. I've wondered for a long time.
The big block Chevy damper, it's still a number one part number.
Really?
And I wouldn't even ask you how many, but it must blow your mind how many you sell.
Yeah,
right?
It's nuts. I mean, it would really blow my mind if I dropped the price a whole bunch and sold as many as the cheap Chinese shit. But it's it's crazy. But you look at engine builders like Charlie Buck and Musey and Steve Schmidt and all these guys. They build a lot of 632 and up, big block motors for whatever, and go in a streetcar and go in a .90 dragster.
Yep, true.
Yeah, well, I guess
and there's just a ton of them.
Well, when you get into like the big bore stuff and everything, what do they have for a snout? Do they use a big block snout?
They're still big block snout. Yeah, yep. Yeah. I mean, other than a diesel or a tractor, we've never seen a need to go bigger than an inch 600.
Yep.
It's I mean, really the LS snout is pretty good as well, and it doesn't give us any issues. But the LS does outsell the big block Chevy, but it's via 12 different part numbers.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like I guess this is you've officially moved into the new age. Like if I'm looking at something online, I'd be like, oh, that's regular small block Chevy. Who needs that shit?
Yeah. Well, it's still a bit of a mainstay, but like I was at some of the discussions at PRI, and there was people talking about how bad the industry was right now, and I'm like, man, if you're doing something wrong, if you think something's bad right now, you must have not have branched out from only a small block Chevy, because you need to do other things in today's world.
Well, I think from everybody that I've talked to and speaking with Tom, I think if you're hurting for work right now, you're doing something wrong. I think there's an awful lot of opportunity out there. A lot.
Oh, it's
busy.
Everybody I spoke to is, it's absolutely mind blowing. We're trying to buy a machine, and I was talking to the guy, and he says, well, our office usually installs 10 machines a month, and that's what we average. And the last year we've been doing 40 a month.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah, I mean their bottom dollar machines, $150,000. So
wow.
It's mind blowing, and you wonder how long it can last. So it kind of makes you a little worried, but it's cool right now. Everybody's happy and racing, and the industry's always been pretty healthy, pretty much all the time, and we're thankful for that. We're lucky.
Yeah, I think when times like this are good, what I would want to do is I would want to expand my business and get as much off my plate as fast as I could, and then when things go bad, you're the guy that's, hey man, here I am.
Yeah, I can make anything. Yep. It's funny. I'm not a real political guy.
It's funny because you wonder, the guy, people call and they're mad because you're so busy. I'm like, well, if you find somebody that's not busy right now, that's probably for a reason.
Yeah.
We're a month out on transmissions, and we're backed up on all the dampers, and it's just parts. If I had everything on the shelf everybody wanted all the time, it would be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Well, must have something to do with this this tax package and all that stuff, because everybody I talk to and hear from is also doing the same, adding equipment, manufacturing more, getting it done. And there must be an advantage to what's going on right now.
But it's no good.
Yeah, I know. For some reason.
I saw it on the news. It's no good. It's got to be true.
Depends what channel you watch.
Yeah, we all got to be wrong.
Yeah, my son told somebody the other day, I said, what do you want to do when you grow up? He said, I want to be Sean Hannity.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's 5.
Yeah, good for him.
So
he's going down the right path.
Yeah, the whole transmission and torque converter world, and making all the parts and pieces. Where something else we offered and talked about was the builder kits. The the converter builders that are out there that want to do a nice bolt together with a billet back cover and not some cast thing that looks like shit. We've got the kits now to sell that stuff. I'm not just hoarding it for myself. So you can build an 8, 9, 10 inch, 10.5 inch, and any of those in a lockup converter as well. And we've got the packages for that. And we've got a package for a 4L80 with a 2JZ converter that's a direct bolt into the OEM flex plate and everything else, 2JZ bell, everything. Bolts right in with an 8-inch race converter or 9-inch. Then we did bolt together Chrysler converters too. Forgot about those. Saves about 4 pounds over your Chrysler stuff now. So it's fun. It's all the machines we had, we're having trouble finding people to run them, and that's the next common thread out there. And the big push. I'm almost 40, and I remember everybody had to go to college. Well, I think it's slowly starting to turn around, but I use my college degree, but I don't think I really need it. I probably could have done a 2-year college deal and been just fine. But some people I think got to have it, depending on what you want to do, and then there's others that think they got to have it, and sure as shit don't need it. And then there's people that go to college and come out and they don't know how to be an adult.
No, they went to college for philosophy, and
art major.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a huge call.
That's and I mean we see it. It's pretty sad with some of the people who get to come in, and then other times you're pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as
it's the world.
Yeah, I mean, as the country keeps getting better, there's going to be more opportunity for the people that don't want to go to college too, just in in manufacturing and that kind of stuff.
It's such a long cycle. It's hard to look at it that far. I don't know.
No, you're right. It's a long cycle, but
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing when these kids decide they don't need to go to college, want to come to work.
Well, you're going to give them a job.
I'm just now at the age I can call half the people that come in kids. So it's been a while.
You're still a kid, man.
Yeah, it goes fast.
Yeah.
Lucky for you.
I don't know if I feel like it every day, but yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. My little girl she's 7, acts like she's 17 every day, and drives me nuts. I'm scared.
Well, you should be.
Yeah.
But it'll be okay. You got your head on straight.
We try, but yeah, I mean, overall, everything's moving along. We don't have to be out of our building, so that's part of the problem. I don't have anybody looking over our shoulder saying, get out. So, we're just trying to get it all done and do it right. And once it's done, I'm sure we'll do an open house. And I've been putting pictures up once a week on Facebook of what's going on, trying to show people. We get plenty of people wondering what we're doing because they're waiting on shit. And I'm like, I promise you, we're not doing nothing. So we've got 68 people.
Well, in the scheme of things, I'd like to come down and see the place because I wanted to stop and talk to you at, what's it called? What the hell was it, Indy?
PRI.
Yeah, my brain fell out. And you were busy every time I walked by, and I'm like, to hell with it.
Yeah, it's the quickest 3 days of December.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, and you were always jammed up. But no, I mean, Tom, he heads down that way. Maybe one day I'll just take a ride with him.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, come on down, check it out. We're not too far away.
Well, listen, we always appreciate you coming on, and the listeners always enjoy listening. And thanks for the tutorial on the new age transmissions. Why don't you plug your stuff real quick? ATIracing.com, or check us out on Facebook. I don't know. Type ATI on Facebook. And or on Google, and you'll find them
on the internet.
I mean, otherwise, call us. My guys, the guys that answer the phone, they're not just order takers. They've been around. They know the stuff. Harvey Baker is there. He's been around the industry forever, and he knows a lot about Ford stuff and everything else. Kind of bridges our gap there. And our other guys, Dave, Ricky, John, Charlie, and Rob. We've got a good core group of guys, and they're busy, and I can promise you that. But it's because we talk people out of the stuff they don't need. We try to sell them the stuff they need, whether they want to spend more money or less money. We just try and get them in the right stuff. So that's just how we operate. Right?
And there's nothing better than calling a place that has the right people on the phone.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, well, cool. I appreciate you guys calling in and having me back on.
Yeah, always good to have you, man. We'll probably see you at your open house.
All right, I appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
All right,
Thanks,
see you, man. Thanks.
Talk to you later. Bye.
I guess a company like that has to move forward with 8 speeds and 10 speeds because
it doesn't wait for him.
No, you'd be the guy still building small block Chevys.
Yeah,
Chevys. Got to take up. Sorry about that.
No, he's a smart dude though, man. He gets from his dad too. I mean, another extremely smart guy, and same era as your dad, and they've always been ahead, like always since I can remember that place. They've been ahead with something. I mean, I remember the first time I went there, waiting for his dad and looking at they have this wall with all their patents, and it was a lot. Like it wasn't 2. It was I don't remember how many, and it was all impressive shit. And they, and I think JC's got a collection, and their stuff is badass.
I had a couple conversations with his father, specifically about dampers, and like why they worked and what they tested and how they tested, and it was always entertaining. And the guy was great. He would always talk. If you had questions or whatever, he was just like JC.
Yep, good guy.
Excellent.
Yep. They're just good people.
Well, it's nice to know that they have a little more, or actually, it shouldn't even say a little more, a lot going on now with 4L80 stuff. Because when I talked to him last time, I was like, people are saying you can make a high horsepower 4L80. We're not quite there yet. I mean, he was tentative about that. But
they've been working on it ever since.
Yeah,
well, not ever since, but he was working on it at the time, but he just didn't want to talk about it.
No, and that's understandable.
Yep.
Now, they're not making their own case, he said. They have somebody else's case.
For the 4L80?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
I think that's what I heard, and I don't want to sell those guys short because, I mean, I got to tell you, I could only imagine what the investment has to be to make a whole transmission case. Yeah. My God.
Yeah.
Well, and they have them for the Glide, the 400, and now the 350. If he thought he needed one, I know they have the wherewithal to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did he say that? I thought they used a stock case for them.
I thought I heard him say something about somebody's case.
Tad?
Yeah, he was saying something for more line pressure and stuff, but I don't know.
No, that was for the 350.
Yeah, it was for the 350. I don't know.
I should have thrown some at Ted to wake him up first.
If our goddamn listeners would pay attention and quit talking about, FUD stupid car that doesn't even exist, maybe we'd get some info.
Well, I can say one thing, though, because I finished off the Diesel Performance podcast, and they were talking about, everybody wanted to go with the Allison, especially the Chryslers. They said, get rid of the Chrysler Trans out of a ramp behind a Cummins right away, because that's going to fail stock even. But now they had one guy on with Ford, and it seems the new Ford heavy-duty transmission is like indestructible. And I was like shocked, and he's like, it's going to be not too long until people are swapping Ford trannies into like behind a Duramax for a Cummins. And it's just like, well, Ford is always the last thing you're ever going to think about for a transmission.
Why?
Because they're junk. Come on.
Okay.
They are.
Help.
I don't know. I got nothing.
I'm just going to get a little sign at some point. They just hold up the Ted that just says stop. We're talking about automotive racing trends, and you go off into this fucking diesel direction.
I just finished a podcast about rocketry.
Well, I know that from the ATI perspective, I would trust anything they do. And obviously they steered our little friend Fudd in the right direction.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see that email, but I could only imagine how it was written because Alan was kind of like, yeah, he corrected me pretty sternly. It was like I was talking to you. I'm like, oh, really? Did he call you a fucking moron? He probably didn't go quite that far, but I mean, God, don't even get me started with him. But it's good that they're moving in the directions of the other stuff. And I got to tell you, I mean, it sounds like he is too. Really interested in the 6L80, the 8L, whatever.
Yep.
10R90. Yeah, whatever
12
their new
Q.
acronyms and letters are. But it does sound like it would become a really serious engineering project to kind of take all of that logic out of the factory, computer and be able to apply it to a
standalone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's seriously, it's amazing where transmissions have gone. And it seems like it's a short period of time in the grand scheme of things. Right? I mean, 4L80s are still, you could still drive them without ECU, right? Didn't he say that?
No.
No.
No, the four. That's why I was asking, because it seemed to me like
No, I'm sorry. You could run the 4L80 more manual like a Turbo 400 is what he said, even with the ECU. Yeah. But the others, you just simply cannot.
Well, I mean, again, I have my set of limited knowledge from what I've read about, because I just read about the things that interested me. And since the little Tahoe guy's got a 6L80, when you read the forums, and I mean, Dave Steck, perfect example, he's pretty, I like Dave. The more that I read his posts, he knows a lot of shit. Yeah. And not only that, he's not afraid to tell somebody, look, you're just an idiot.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. But you look at all these people and say, well, yeah, just turn all that shit off. Turn all the torque management off. Just make it shift hard, bring the pressures up, and you'll be great. And then people's transes are broken, 20 minutes later.
Yep.
And they're like, what happened?
Yep.
I think that logic is what makes everything last. So to kind of pull that all out of a stock computer and then put it in a singular standalone, that's where this next jump is going to be. But like the 4L80, Holly can run it, Megasquirt can run it.
Yeah.
They can all run it, like just kind of, that's part that comes with it. But I don't think anytime soon they're going to offer 6L80 stuff.
No, because it's way more out there.
Yeah.
And, you think about it, just to go back to your point about taking out the safety factor of everything. It plays into that conversations we've had many times on this show, how easy it is to make power. You're not talking about 400 horsepower stuff anymore.
No.
You're talking about stuff that 1,000 horsepower is a joke. So you got 12, 14, 15, 2,000 horsepower, turning up the line pressure and everything isn't going to work.
And are we our parents, like, that saw stuff move this quick? Or did it move that quick? Like, no, it seems like...
I think it moved that quick. In trans stuff, I think it moved that quick.
Well, I think in trans stuff and power stuff, it moved that quick.
It did. I mean, over the course of the last even 6 or 7 years, which is a short time in the racing community, the power levels have gone up crazy. They really have. It might be shorter than that.
I'm trying to think back to when I knew things started to get serious with turbo stuff.
Well, all I know is, street race stuff back in our day, if you had something that really made 600, you had something fast.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a 9-second streetcar back then, you could make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. No,
it was crazy.
Dude, my streetcar in the 80s, like 86, 87, it made 500. And that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Broke rears like they're going out of style.
Yeah. They spit those 7.5-inch rear ends out like they
candy.
Buy a dozen, 12-pack.
Yeah, you got to.
But those things, I mean, back then, 500 was a lot. Oh, you got a mechanical cam. Now everybody's like, what?
That was a 3/4 race cam. Don't lie.
And 500 now,
it's nothing.
No, it's factory stuff.
You can get that in like a Kia. They're good Kia.
I think you can. In the high end Kia. I mean, 485 anyway. Yeah, it's really crazy. It's a good time. It really is a good time.
Well, I think that going back to what you said about the 4L80s, from everything that he said, that particular transmission, it's just a matter of telling it how to, here's what I understand. And this is probably one of the things I should ask them. 6L80s, 8L, 6L, 8L, and 10L, whatever their number after it is.
Yeah.
They work by turning shit on and off, kind of like a dual clutch gearbox.
Yeah.
This one's coming off, this one's coming on, and it essentially catches itself. I think a 4L80,
and it's very precise, by the way.
Yes, it has to be. There you get, and that's why probably the torque, varies when it goes through, because if you're trying to catch something at a given rate with more torque, you probably got to clamp a little harder. I mean, it's a balance. But I believe that all the 4L80 stuff is like 400 with overdrive on the back. Like it's this stops or this band comes on or this does this, and then that's the next change.
Yep.
I think that's why they're easier.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is how they work.
Well, look, I don't think if anybody listening, you can't go wrong with ATI. You really can't. These guys, they've been doing this for an awful long time, and they don't make junk.
Name,
Buy their stuff because Tad said so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, damn it.
Even Fudd the retard went there. I figured he would have picked some fucking goofball Chrysler guy from 1965 that was building.
That's not an endorsement anybody wants.
Clutch Flight?
Oh, God, Alan, I'd love to see that email he sent you, because I'm sure it was abusive. I'm just sure. Oh, Christ.
I don't want to say I could probably get it, but I could probably get it.
No, see, Alan doesn't care how stupid he looks. He just sent it to me. Oh, yeah, here you go, Mike.
Oh, true. How can he care at that level of stupidity?
Well, I would just think that I probably just worn him to a nub. It's got to be exhausting, him talking to me. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know how you do it.
It's tough.
I know. It must be.
It's tough.
That's how you battle harden yourself.
All right. Well, we got anything else from anybody? Nobody called today.
Here we go.
You dickheads. That needs Mogul's going to call any second. No, Rich, that is not a secret call. That's not our signal that you have to call, Rich. So just go easy.
Mike's winking.
I will make sure that the previous shows are squared away because I finally got the email saying copyright release is fine. And we'll get the back shows up. And for all you guys think we're going somewhere, look, when we're going, I don't think any of us would be bashful to be like, hey, we're out.
Yeah, this sucks. We're going.
we're done.
Yeah.
You know what I did want to talk about, Tom?
Tinfoil hat fuckers.
We got to talk about dinos.
Okay.
I think maybe we should have Allison back on. I want to, well, somebody.
Okay. I didn't say you.
No, I'm just saying somebody. If Allison doesn't want to do it, somebody, there's
okay.
Dino people. I want to talk about load bearing. And then do you have anybody scheduled immediately for next week or no?
Well, I got somebody in the wings, but it doesn't have to be them. I'm actually going to talk to them this weekend about it. The owners of Titan Motorsports want to come on.
Okay.
But they could be a week after. Well, why? What do you got?
I would like to know some things about load bearing dynos because I want to have Jeff. Jeff and I did a kind of a show that I wasn't expecting. I told you that you had something going on, or I had something. There was something we couldn't do Monday night. Was it you or was it me?
It was you.
It might have been me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was me. That's when I had that fucking firmware disaster.
I couldn't do Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's right.
Tuesday, I mean.
And I told Tad whatever, but then Jeff, he comes from a far distance, so I'm sitting here and I hear Jeff rumbling up the driveway. So we sat down and we bullshitted for a while. But he went through all the Banish CDs or DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be able to come in and talk to Banish about what he learned, because it would be good for Banish to hear how somebody processed the information.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'm not trying to blow Greg, but the information that he gave you gives you such a solid foundation. And Jeff he was the guy. He certainly understands how everything works. I mean, he put his whole car together.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this really tied a lot of stuff together. So I think it would be beneficial, like to have Banish on.
That's fine.
For this particular. And we can talk about the educational aspect of what it does. So if you don't have anybody, I'd like to talk to Greg and see if he wants to come in for next week.
Greg, you want to come? Greg, you want to come in next week
or call in? What, is he listening?
Yes.
Yeah, he'll come in. Yeah, he said okay.
Okay. Hi, Greg. I didn't. This is what I get for not looking at the chat room.
Well, Greg, we'll call you after the show and discuss timing and everything and your salary, your compensation.
Crunch, somebody just said Crunch to call in. Crunch is welcome to call in or anytime, sit in whenever he wants. I mean, I'm friends with Crunch. I like Crunch, and I wish he had the time, and I wish he'd make some time.
Yeah.
So he's awesome. He's a really good dude.
Yep.
All right. So anything else from the collective nitwits? Tad, you want to talk about, I don't know, something stupid before we go?
Tornadoes?
No. Yeah, those two.
Okay.
All right.
So just so I'm clear, we're going to do the Banish Jeff Hester on Monday.
I'll make sure that Jeff can get up here on Monday, which I think
I'll do the other guys the Monday after.
Yeah. When he knows enough in time, he'll be able to make it. So I think that'll be a good show, and we can talk. There's a lot of stuff here from Banish you can learn.
Okay.
So, all right.
Enough.
Well, we'll see you all on Monday.
Later.
Yep.
We're still on, but I can't see what are you laughing at. We didn't even ask Jeff. Jeff's like, oh, I should be able to.
Well, I talked to him earlier. That's all right. He knew. So yeah, Jeff, plan your time aside. Make sure you
Jason Paul said later, Lefty. I guess that's the Nitro Scott.
Was Scott really fuck with me, or was he?
No. He was for real. He said I'm trolling Mike, but that's his little get out of jail card.
Yeah,
he's full of shit.
Fucking guy. And I know you were dying to like be like, well, yeah, thanks for buying all those machines, make America great again.
Yeah.
God. All right. Well, thanks everybody, and I promise you, I will try to get all the show stuff up. I'll even try to get this one up tonight if possible. Mm-hmm. So if not, it'll be tomorrow in the morning. All right. See ya.